Ready to go live in just a moment? Just a few moments. Welcome back to everybody. We got a lot to talk about. Cyborg's making her boxing debut. Rose, not entirely ruling out the move to flyweight. We've got a lot of fights this weekend to discuss, preview, and we've also got some promotions that I just don't understand what they're doing with their promotional efforts to draw interest. It's like they're almost working backwards. So we're going to talk about these and go live. Just a few more seconds. Getting ready. A couple more seconds. All right. Welcome back to WMAC Now with your host, Chuck Stevenson, and welcome to episode number 135 of the WMA Report, our regular show. We're going to talk about everything going on within the world of the women's divisions of mixed martial arts. Tonight, we're going to talk about Cyborg making her boxing debut and what that means for her and her opponent and her legacy. Got to talk about Rose Namajunas a little bit. Not entirely ruling out 125, apparently. We'll discuss that. And then last discussion topic we'll talk about is going to be what some of these promotions are doing, or rather what they should be doing instead to properly promote their events. And then we've got a lot of fights to preview for this weekend as well. So we're going to get into all of that. But first, before we get started, first of all, the chat, which is on my left, or should be your right. The chat is open, and feel free at any time to chime in. Just want to say hello, say hello. Got a comment, something related to the topic, great. Off topic, that's fine. It'll just take a little longer to get to. Comments, compliments, gripes, complaints, what have you, the chat is open. It is there. Also, to help get this stream going into the YouTube algorithm, if you can, please hit that like button. That is the least I can ask for, and it actually would help me out the most, is to hit that like button and get people drawn to the stream. Also, I hope tonight is the night that I can earn that subscription. WMAC Now, my channel, in my opinion, and hopefully yours, is the best, most complete women's mixed martial arts dedicated platform on YouTube. All I talk about is women's mixed martial arts. I don't bring in other topics. So that's why I say it is a WMMA dedicated channel. And I say it's the most complete because, well, I talk about just about everything, excuse me. I also cover the most topics. I have the most diverse array of videos and streams, in my personal opinion. Hopefully yours as well. So if I haven't yet, I hope tonight will be the night I earn your subscription. Already got Cris Cyborg in the chat. Was here a little early. Hashtag Cyborg Nation. Thanks for the support. September 25th, we enter the boxing ring at Cris Cyborg. If she's here later, it's going to get very interesting. That's all I'm going to say about that. It's going to get interesting. Anyway, first, let's start where we always start, though, with the weekend results. So first up, we're going to Combate Global. Diaz versus Amaro had a pair of ladies bouts. First up, Tanya Nijar on the left-hand side there defeated Alibeth Milliron in a strawweight bout via submission due to rear naked choke, 3 minutes, 1 second of the first round. Nijar climbed to 1-0. Milliron fell to, 2-2. This result, Milliron was doing good, and then she kind of went for like a really half-assed takedown attempt that Niger was basically able to just revert, like wizard her, and then reversed it, got on top, on her back, and got that choke. Nitro was losing that fight until the moment Milan went for that takedown, and then instantly reversed it, came back, and won. It was really rookie mistake there for Alibeth Milan. And then I don't think this is actually the main event, although Topology's billing it as main event. But also at strawweight, Andrea Amaro defeated Claudia Diaz via unanimous decision. Amaro climbed to 3-2. Diaz fell to 1-5. Not the prettiest of bouts, but it was fun and scrappy, is all I'm going to say to describe that bout. Then moving on to Saturday, we had UFC Fight Night Santos versus Hill. Had 3 ladies bouts. 3? Yep, 3 ladies bouts. First up, at bantamweight, Myra Bueno Silva defeated Stephanie Egger via submission due to armbar, minute 17 seconds of the first round. So apparently Egger tapped. According to Silva, Egger tapped. The referee didn't see it. Egger never actually denied it, although now she is going to file a grievance with the Nevada State Athletic Commission. But apparently 3 officials ranked cage side saw it. So I mean, it's probably going to stay a win for Silva. Fighters, any fighter that might happen to watch this, let this be a lesson. You do not stop fighting until the referee tells you to stop. So if you have a submission and your opponent taps, wait for the referee. This is like 2 times in the past month and a half that fighters stopped without the referee telling them to stop. And it's like, if your opponent really wanted to, they could have pulled their arm out or their head out and just started beating the crap out of you because the referee didn't stop the fight. Do not stop until the referee tells you to stop. Period. Take the cue from Yulia Stolyarenko. And I know that's going to make people angry, but take the cue from Yulia Stolyarenko. Crank it or squeeze it until the ref stops. Easy E says in my Alistair Overeem voice, I feel to tap. I don't know Alice. I don't know Overeem's voice that well. Then at strawweight, Corey McKenna defeated Miranda Granger via submission due to Von Flue choke at 1 minute and 3 seconds of the second round. So first Von Flue choke for the ladies in the UFC. And I believe only the second ever Von Flue choke for the ladies in MMA, period. I could be wrong on that one. McKenna looked great, but only because Granger looked like crap. And also Granger has been released from the UFC, which basically takes McKenna's win and just plunges it in value. It's like, wow. Not really a whole lot else to say about this fight. But we didn't get that one last week. Lipsky versus Cachueto was supposed to happen last week. It got moved to this week. They didn't clear Lipsky medically. And then on the Ultimate Fighter finale, for season 30. Juliana Miller defeated Brogan Walker via TKO due to ground and pound, 3 minutes, 57 seconds of the third round. This is another one. It's like, yes, one fighter looked good, but that's because the other fighter looked like absolute crap. Like, Brogan was doing okay in the stand-up, but she kept going for the clinch. And every time she went for the clinch, Miller took her down, beat the crap out of her, and threatened submissions. It's like, stop going for the clinch. Why are you going for the clinch when it's not working for you? Like, by the third round, if I was her coach between the second and third round, I'd have been like, hey, don't clinch. Don't go for the clinch. But what did she do? Went out in the third round, closed for the clinch, and got taken down again. It's like, I don't want to discredit Juliana Miller, but it's hard to credit her when her opponent literally basically gave the fight away. I mean, that's all it really is to it. Brogan fought like a dummy, and she lost like a dummy. I don't know. And I think I'm mostly mad because, like, she was one of the early favorites to win this season. Just, I was really overall. I was really disappointed with the fight last weekend or on Saturday because I just thought there was just so much bad in those fights that it was hard to see the good through the bad. And I'm just tired of watching the UFC and not seeing UFC quality fights. I'm just, I thought I was getting MMA burnout for a while, but now I think I'm getting UFC burnout. And that's because of the UFC just having events weekend after weekend after weekend, with most of them having low quality fights. Let's be honest here. Are either of these two going anywhere right now in the flyweight division? Probably not. Probably not. Even with Miller, they're going to have to carefully match her up. I don't know. I'm just tired of these apex fight nights with fights between fighters that honestly would not be in the UFC if it weren't for the Ultimate Fighter or the Contender Series signing practically everybody they can get their hands on. Easy E says, I find it funny how people mistake experience for being a good fighter. No disrespect, Brogan is horrible. And she was so overconfident while Miller was looking like a deer in headlights. Well, Brogan certainly looked horrible Saturday night. And I don't think Miller's as great as people are making her out to be either. I just think Brogan gave that fight away. Like, she definitely deserved to lose it. Anyway, speaking of Contender Series, on Tuesday we had a strawweight bout. Karolina Wojcik defeated Sandra Lovato via unanimous decision. Wojcik climbed to 9-2. Lovato fell to 10-3. I haven't gotten a chance to watch the entire fight yet. Karolina Wojcik won, but did not get a contract. I did see the results, and it was kind of sad to see. Like, Dana was like, "Yeah, she just didn't do enough in that fight when she's sitting there with her crutches and her knee wrapped in ice." And I don't know if she got a serious injury or just jacked it up a little in the fight, but she did hurt her leg. But Wojcik does not get the contract, and back to the drawing board for both of these ladies. But I've heard this fight was not very good. So, anyway, that is it for the weekend results. So now we move on into the news. Got some good stuff going on in here. Some not so great stuff as well, but some decent news. All right, first up, Former atomweight title challenger Minna Grusinder has signed a new multi-fight deal with Invicta FC. So I believe it's for like 4 to 6 fights for over the next 3 years. But she will be fighting at strawweight. Good to see Minna Grusinder back. She's had like one fight in the last 3 years, I think. But good to see her back, and she will be competing in the strawweight division. Also, the UFC bantamweight bout between Sarah McMahon and Aspen Ladd has been rescheduled for UFC Fight Night, set for September 17th. So that was supposed to go on. I forget the original date for that one, but Ladd had to pull out of that one, so it has been rescheduled, which is good. I'd rather that um, I'd rather that fight get rescheduled than just canceled and they move on. And then the UFC flyweight bout between Alexa Grasso and Viviane Araujo that was supposed to happen this weekend has been rescheduled for the October 15th UFC Fight Night. So that was supposed to happen this weekend, and Grasso had visa issues apparently, which was unusual for her. And so that one's going to be in October now, which is weird because that fight was supposed to be this weekend and got rescheduled for October 15th. And then the Hill versus Godinez fight that was supposed to be on 15th has now been scheduled to this weekend. And then Hexagon 4 goes down August 28th in Dubai. They've got 2 ladies title bouts. First up, the strawweight championship for the inaugural strawweight title between Mona Tohi and Alana Sosa. And then they have a bantamweight championship, inaugural bantamweight championship. Marie Luazo taking on, I'll make sure I pronounce this as close as I can, Eleni Mitilinaki. Greek names are ridiculous. No offense to any Greeks watching, but Greek names are not the easiest to pronounce. But at least they're usually easy to enunciate. You can enunciate them. Anyway, Centurion FC has an event. It goes down later this month on the 24th in Belgrade, Serbia. They booked a bantamweight bout. Marina Spasic coming in 1-0, taking on Alina Tauber coming in at 0-2. So Centurion FC keeping things rolling. And then PAW at Palace Athena Women's Fighting Championship 2 is going down on August 27th in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. And they finally announced the first fight. Inaugural atomweight championship between local Canadian Anastasia Nikolakakos and Brazilian Alessandra Ferreira. So I did a YouTube short video announcing that bout, and I just recorded like a little bit longer video, like 6-minute video talking about that fight that I gotta edit and then publish as soon as this stream ends. But that should be an interesting one. And then UFC 281 goes down November 12th in New York City, New York, at Madison Square Garden. Added a flyweight bout. Aaron Cold-Blooded Blanchfield is going to take on Meatball Molly McCann. That's a good test for Meatball Molly. Because I think Blanchfield will try to take that to the ground, and McCann does not do too good on the ground. So that should be a very, very stern test for Meatball Molly, who is on a 3-fight winning streak. And then Bellator has an event scheduled for October 29th in Milan, Italy. Added a strawweight bout. Pair of Italian girls, Chiara Penco taking on Manuela Marcanetto. So I think Penco has fought for Bellator in Italy before. but this will be Martinetto's first time fighting for Bellator, and she actually posted that on her Instagram that ever since she turned pro, her goal was to fight in on one of Bellator's Italy cards, which is, hey, that's nice to see when when a fighter's dream comes true like that. That's really cool to see. I mean, now most people would say, well, why not UFC? Well, UFC has never been to Italy, whereas Bellator has been to Italy several times at least. So Bellator, making a fighter's dream come true is nice. Should be a good bout too. Martinetto, I think she's 2-2 right now, but she's improving. And then final bit of news: UFC has an event scheduled for November 5th. They added a bantamweight bout. Ramona Pasquale taking on UFC newcomer Tamiris Vidal. Haven't watched any footage on Vidal yet, but she has a record of 6-1. So nice little record to come into the UFC with at bantamweight. And always fun to watch Ramona Pasquale. So I had a piece of candy. I got rid of it. Anyway, that is it for the news for this week. Like, not a whole lot, but some decent news. Let's move back over to the chat. Judy V in the chat says, hi, Wojcik was good for a short fighter. She took control. Yeah, she's a small strawweight. I don't know if she could actually make atom weight, but she is definitely a small strawweight and usually more fun to watch. Mr. Stark just tuned in. That's all right. Easy E says, I caught Juliana Miller's interview on the MMA Hour, and while I like her personality, I can tell she really doesn't know what she's gotten herself into when it comes to getting that UFC contract. It says, also says, she better get seriously trained up with the top camp because those 125 fights ain't no tough house fights. I forget who she trains with. Let me see if they list it. She's in California. She's in San Diego. Oh, so she's with the team Hurricane Awesome with I think with like Elimelech McFarland. There's some good fighters on out of there. Used to be Liz Carmouche, used to be there. Who else? Tyler Schaefer, who fights tomorrow night in Combate, is out of there. I mean, there are some decent fighters out of there. But yeah, I don't think they've actually produced any like top level fighters in the UFC for certain. Judy V says for now her pick is Blanchfield. I think I'm going to go with Blanchfield on that one. I'm definitely cheering for Blanchfield. I am not a Meatball Molly fan. Before we go on, just a friendly reminder, like and subscribe if you are new to the channel. So that was it for the news. Let's move on to some rankings updates here. Should be big enough for you guys to see. So let's talk Bellator because we've got two Bellator flyweight bouts this weekend, both of which are going to have an effect on the rankings, possibly. So we've got, number 4, Elimelech McFarland is taking on the unranked Bruna Ellen. And that would be the second unranked fighter in a row that McFarland is taking on. If she loses to Ellen, that is going to be a serious hit to her reputation. Serious hit to her rep. And that would probably most likely lead to Bruna Ellen getting ranked. But also we have the rematch between Deanna Bennett and Justine Kish. Now Kish is coming off that win over Elimelech, but they still have her ranked below Bennett, which she should be ranked below Deanna Bennett because she just lost to her earlier this year. Probably they should have moved Ilima McFarland down a lot more than that. But we'll see. We'll see how these rankings shake up after tomorrow night. Then moving on into the UFC, excuse me, which we do have some fights that will affect the rankings this weekend. Let's see. So first up, we have Nina Nunes, who is ranked ninth at strawweight, taking on Cynthia Calvillo, who is 12th at flyweight, and that fight is at flyweight. So that could have some ranking repercussions at flyweight. But we also have Angela Hill taking on Lupita Godinez, and that is a catchweight bout at 120. So Hill is ranked at number 13, but we'll have to see if that will help Godinez move up at strawweight, considering that the fight isn't taking place technically at strawweight. But we'll see. So that is your rankings update for this weekend. This week, yeah. I mean, no actual updates to talk about. Just mostly wanted to review what's going to go on or what could get affected this weekend. So keeping things moving, that brings us into the weekend preview. And the first up, we have Bellator. What is it? 284 tomorrow night from Sioux Falls, South Dakota. So let me bring up my stats here. But the first bout up is going to be in the flyweight division. Deanna Bennett taking on Justine Kish. And this is a rematch from literally 5 months ago, where Bennett defeated Kish via decision. Now, Kish did miss weight today. She weighed in at like 129. So missed weight by a good 3 pounds, if you include the extra pound weight allowance. Um, which is a shame because, I mean, she just came off literally the biggest win of her career against the former champ. And now she blows it by missing weight on her next bout. Of course, if she wins, it'll be forgotten, but we'll see. Anyway, Vitamin D, Deanna Bennett is coming in at 12, 7, and 1. Kish is coming in at 8 and 5. Now, Bennett has won her last two. She defeated Alejandra Lara 10 months ago via decision, and then beat Kish 5 months ago via decision. Whereas Kish just came out of a 3-fight losing streak with that win over Ilima McFarland that was 3 months ago. And that was an upset too, a heck of an upset. So nice win there for Justine Kish. Both fighters on the wrong side of 30. Bennett is 37. Kish is 34. So 3-year difference there. Looks like Kish is 1 inch taller, 5 feet 5 inches, 165 centimeters to 5 feet 4 inches, 163 centimeters for Bennett. And then Bennett actually has the reach advantage here, 66 inches, 168 centimeters to 64 and a half inch, 164 centimeters. So my pick here is going to be for Deanna Bennett. One, she got the win, what was that, 5 months ago? So she already knows how to beat Justine Kish. Two, she's going to have the confidence going in there against someone like, hey, I just beat her 5 months ago. So I know I can do it again. That confidence does a big thing for you. But also, Kish missed weight by 3 pounds, and she looked like absolute crap on the scale. I mean, she looked bad. Let me see if I can pull up a picture for you to show you. See if I can find a picture. Oh, here's one. So there's how Kish looked on the scale. Did not look good. And 128.4. I thought she had missed by more than that. I'm thinking of Alimale. Does not look good for having missed weight. So I'm thinking she probably had a hard and just does not spell good things for her. Plus, Kish is one of those fighters, she needs room to work. And Bennett does not give room for fighters to work. Bennett is a grinder. So I think she's going to come out and grind on Kish some more and root to a decision. And probably is going to end up helping Bennett in the rankings because even though Kish is still ranked below her, I think beating the fighter who just beat the former champ is going to create some buzz for her. Then up on the main card, we have the former flyweight champ, Wmma McFarland, taking on Bruna Ellen. Uh, this is meant to be another tune-up fight for Wmma McFarland. She didn't get past the first tune-up fight, and so now they're giving her another one. Anyway, the Eliminator coming in at 11-2, Ellen coming in at 6-3. So McFarland went from undefeated to now losing her last two. She lost the title to Juliana Velasquez a little over a year and a half ago, and then just over 3 months ago, lost to Justine Kish. Bruna Ellen has been alternating wins and losses. Most recently, she scored a split decision win over Desiree Yanez 8 months ago. But man, she had a long break before that. Before that, she lost a decision to Juliana Velasquez. That was 2.5 years ago. Yeah, that was in Hawaii. Anyway, Ellen is the younger fighter, 26-32 for the former champ. McFarland is 1 inch taller, 5 feet 4 inches, 163 centimeters to 5 feet 3 inches, 160 centimeters for Ellen. No reach on topology for Bruna Ellen. The Limale is listed at 66 inches, 168 centimeters. So McFarland ended up missing weight too. She weighed in at 129. I was going to pick McFarland, but after seeing the weigh-ins this morning, I just don't know it now. I honestly do not know. McFarland clearly has one foot out the door. I've thought she's had a foot out the door for quite a while now. I just think that now it's 1 foot and she's leaning. Whereas before it's like, just stick that foot out there. But now she's got the foot out and she's actually leaning. Earlier this week, she was saying she's going to finish out her contract and then retire. I think she had like 4, including this one, though, was like 4 fights, which at the rate she fights at, that's like another 2 to 3 years. I think if she loses this one to Bruna Ellen, though, she should just retire. This is like you lost the title. And then, unlike the UFC, Bellator will give a fighter tune-up fights. A fight to get back in the saddle. Whereas UFC, they're just like, we're going to line you up for tough fight after tough fight after tough fight. And if you keep losing, then we'll just cut you. Bellator, I think, does it a little better in that they will give you a fight that will test you, but you should be able to win. And that's what this is. Like, Ellen's tough, but she's not super good. She's not supposed to be on the level of McFarland. And you want to pick McFarland, but then she's talking about being ready to retire. And again, even more talk about it. And then she misses weight for, I think, the first time ever. And it's like, oh, man, how can you have any faith in her? I mean, look, I'm not saying I'm picking Bruna Ellen to win here, but I'm not picking Wmma McFarland either. I just, don't have any faith in either one to get the win here. So yeah, I'm gonna skip this one on pick. So then we move to Combate Global, which has an all ladies fight card tomorrow night. Now I did a full event preview video for this one. So if you want, wait for the stream to be over and then go check it out if you haven't yet. I go more into detail in there. So I'm actually going to skip to save on time. I'm going to skip all the stats and details for this one and just give a result and my pick and why. So first up is a flyweight bout. Tyler Schaefer coming in at 1-2, taking on Icona Alvarez coming in at 1-3. Uh, I picked Icona Alvarez to win this one. I think she's a better technical striker, and she's not afraid to mix it up with the ground. So I'm going with Icona Alvarez to win. Then we have an atom weight bout. What was her name? Elizabeth Avila taking on Melissa Gomez. Avila is 0-3. Gomez is 1-0. I'm taking Gomez here. I've seen a little bit of potential in her last fight, her first fight, when she made her debut in Combate. Gomez on the right-hand side there. Elizabeth Avila, I just haven't seen anything from her to convince me to pick her. So we're going with Melissa Gomez to win. Then we have another flyweight bout. This is Jessica Ortega coming in at 1-2, taking on Dee Begley coming in at 2-1. I'm going with the Irishman, Dee Begley. Definitely the more technical striker. Actually seems to go in there with a bit of a game plan. I can't say the same about Jessica Ortega for either of those. So my pick is Dee Begley to win that one. Then in the co-main event, we have another flyweight bout. Roslyn Chavira coming in at 2-0, taking on Flor Chavez coming in at 1-0. And I picked Chavez to win this one. Begley is the more technically sound fighter, has better, more solid fundamentals. But Chavez is, she's like a bulldog in there. Closes, goes to the clinch fast, mauls her opponents, throws some really hard knees. These two are at that level of experience where a lot of time being more athletic and being stronger and just being very aggressive will often do you a lot better than actually being the more technically superior fighter. Sometimes it just turns out that way. And while Chavira is the more technically sound fighter, I don't think she's going to be able to handle Flor Chavez, but we'll see. But for now, the pick is Flor Chavez. And then in the main event, we have a strawweight bout. Camila Rivarola coming in at 4-3-1, taking on Claire Lopez coming in at 6-4. So in addition to doing a full event preview for the Combate card, I also did a standalone preview video for this fight, which you can go check that out as well later on. But kind of split my pick here. The pick is either Lopez via early finish or Rivarola via decision. Lopez does really well in fights, and she is definitely an aggressive fighter and a finisher. But her problem is that she tends to not do so well past the first round. Plus, Rivarola has never been finished. Whereas on the other hand, Rivarola isn't as fast of a starter as Lopez, but she's durable. She can go 3 rounds. And like I said, she's never been finished. It's not easy to finish. So it's either going to be Lopez via early finish or it's going to be Rivarola decision. See what we got in the chat here. Easy E says, yeah, if McFarlane loses to Ellen, she deserves to be unranked. That being said, I could totally see her losing to Ellen. McFarlane is one of the most overrated female fighters, in my opinion. I mean, at this point, yeah, she's overrated. Says if the odds are good enough, I'm definitely betting on Brunette Ellen. I'm not sure what the odds are. Let me see if they're up on. Before we go on. And of course, best fight odds does not want to come up. Oh, here they are. Bellator 284. Pretty even. They're almost dead even for Ellen and McFarlane. So the best odds on McFarlane is at minus 120, and the best for Ellen is plus 112. So everyone has Ellen as a slight underdog. I mean, a very slight underdog. But McFarlane is only a very slight favorite. So not exactly the best of money on Bruna Ellen. Okay, Saturday, we have Cage Warriors 142, and the event is in Wales. And they actually have a ladies' bout. First ladies' bout in Cage Warriors in a while, if I recall correctly. It is between a pair of Welshmen, or Welsh ladies. Stephanie Evans taking on Yazmin Favero at, lightweight. Wow. Okay. I did not notice that earlier. They are fighting at lightweight. Both fighters making their debut, by the way. So both ladies making their debut. They have fought in the amateurs. Looks like Evans riding a 3-fight win streak into this one, although her last amateur bout was 7 months ago. Rivera coming in off of a loss. Wow, there's no listings for her in 2.5 years, over 2.5 years. So who knows? Anyway, Rivera is the younger fighter, 22 to 29 for Evans. No other stats listed for Evans. Rivera is listed at 5 feet 7 inches, 170 centimeters. Listen, I don't have a pick for this one. Had I noticed that it was at lightweight, I probably would have just ignored it. But it's the first ladies fight Cage Warriors has had in quite some time. So I wanted to feature it, and just two Welsh ladies putting two Welsh ladies facing off just seemed interesting to me. So no pick for this one. Then we move to UFC Fight Night, Vera versus Cruz, aka UFC San Diego. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4 ladies bouts on this card. Nice. And I like all 4 of these fights. Actually, this is my least favorite fight of the 4. And it's not a bad fight at all. It's not a bad fight. So anyway, we're starting off with a flyweight bout. Nina Nunes taking on Cynthia Calvillo. The Stringer coming in at 10-7. Calvillo coming in at 9-4-1. Now, both of these ladies really need a win here. Nunes has lost her last 2. Most recently fought a little over a year ago in her first fight back in a while. Lost to Mackenzie Dern via armbar. Calvillo is riding a 3-fight losing streak. Last fought 8 months ago, dropping the TKO to Andrea Lee. Quit on the stool, basically. Both these ladies getting up there in years for fighters. Add that caveat. Nunes is 36. Calvillo is 35. Nunes slightly taller, 5 feet 5 inch, 166 centimeters to 5 feet 4 inches, 163 centimeters. Reach is identical though, 64 inches, 163 centimeters. Here's the deal with this fight. If Calvillo can remember that she is actually a grappler or a better grappler, a wrestler, she has a chance here. But her problem is that she seems to think that she is a striker now and has been in that mindset for several fights. And it has not worked out for her. I'm not sure it'll work out for her here either. Look, Nina Nunes is not a phenomenal fighter, but she's fundamentally sound and she is consistent in her fights, which is more than you can say striking wise about Cynthia Calvillo. So I'm taking Nina Nunes to win this one. Then we have we weren't supposed to get this one until October, but we're getting it this week. Instead of being at strawweight, it is at a 120-pound catchweight, which is a nice way of saying flyweight with an extra limit on it. We have Angela Overkill Hill taking on Lupita Lupi Godinez. Hill comes in at 13-12. Excuse me. Hill coming in at 13-12. Godinez coming in at 8-2. Now Hill has lost her last 3 bouts, all of them by decision, one of them by split. Most recently fought Verna Jandova 2 months ago, which, hey, for her to survive on the ground, and that fight spent a lot of time on the ground against Verna Jandova, that showed me some definite takedown, definite work improvement on her ground defense. There we go. We'll go with that. Godinez, on the other hand, is riding a 2 wins into this one over Loma Lookboonmee, and then a month ago to Ariana Carnelosi. Before that, though, had suffered a loss to Luana Carolina at flyweight that she took on like a week's notice. Let's see. Hill is the elder fighter by 9 years, 37-28. She's slightly taller, 5 feet 3 inches, 160 centimeters to 5 feet 2 inches, 157 centimeters. And Hill has a reach advantage as well, 64.5 inches, 164 centimeters, 61 inches, 155 centimeters. So here's a question. Can Hill stay on the outside, maintain the distance, and can she do that for 3 rounds? And then, failing to do that, can she avoid a takedown for 3 rounds? Because you watch Lupita Godinez fight. All of her strike, everything she does is built on a pattern. She strikes to get in close. She gets in close to get the takedowns. She gets the takedowns to get on top, gets on top and gets ground and pound or go for a submission. Everything she chains together. And if she can't get her first takedown, she'll chain towards another. And she'll keep on working at it. She's not an outside fighter. Hill is an okay outside fighter. And she does okay in a clinch, but I don't think she really wants to be in a clinch with Godinez, who's going to be looking for those takedowns the entire time. And Hill's biggest problem is that she's terrible at stopping takedowns. I mean, I think practically everybody she's faced that has tried to take her down has taken her down. So I think she's going to have a hard time stopping those Godinez takedowns, in which case she's going to lose. So my pick for this bout is going to be Lupi Godinez to win. Then we move to a flyweight bout. Ariane Lipski taking on Priscilla Cachoeira. Let's See, the Queen of Violence, Lipski, coming in at 14-7. Zombie Girl coming in at 11-4. Both fighters coming in off of a win, preceded by a loss. Now, in the case of Lipski, she beat Mandy Bohm 10 months ago via decision. Before that, lost via TKO to Montana De La Rosa a little over a year ago. Zombie Girl's coming in off a win over Jeon Kim 5 months ago, which was questionable. And then before that, lost to Jillian Robertson via rear naked choke submission 7 months ago. Cachueta is the elder fighter, 33-28 for Lipski. She's also 1 inch taller, 5 feet 7 inches, 170 centimeters, to 5 feet 6 inches, 168 centimeters for Lipski. However, Lipski has the reach advantage, 67 inches, 170 centimeters, to 65 inches, 165 centimeters. I'm taking Lipski to win this one. Lipski is smart enough to not stand in front of Cachueta. And that is primarily how Cachueta wins fights, when her opponents are foolish enough to stand right there in front of her and not try to take her down. You try to stand in front of Cachueta for more than a few seconds, you're getting rocked. Lipski's smart enough to not do that. Now, is she like phenomenally better than Cachueta? No, but I do think she is the better fighter. I think she'll take Cachueta down and work for ground and pound or the submission. So I'm taking Lipski to win this one. And also up on the main card, and I think it tells you what UFC thinks about one of these fighters, that they put her on the main card for her debut. Actually, it's a UFC debut for both of these fighters, but one of them's a late notice replacement. So Yazmin Jauregui on the left there, taking on Yazmin Lucindo on the right-hand side there. Both ladies making their UFC debut. Now, Jauregui was supposed to be taking on Stella Nunes, and Nunes backed out like a couple weeks ago. Lucindo stepped in. Anyway, Jauregui coming in undefeated at 8-0. Last fought for Combate Global about 11 months ago. Won a single night tournament over 3 other fighters, which is very nice. The final was against Claire Lopez, who fights tomorrow night for Combate. Lucinda is 13-4 and looks like she's riding a nice 7-fight win streak. Let's see here. Jauregui's the elder fighter, 23-20. They are the same height, 5 feet 3 inches, 160 centimeters. Topology does not have a reach available for Lucindo. Jauregui is 64 inches, 163 centimeters. I'm going with Jauregui on this one. I mean, granted, I've been high on her for a year now, at least a year now. But I just think she has a better style than Lucindo does. Lucindo does have some decent wins on her record. She beat Sarah Froda at, that was like Flyweight, wasn't it? Yep, last year in August. Which, I mean, not a stellar win, but a good win for her. Beat Lucrezia Rhea in her last fight. I don't know who Lucrezia Rhea is. 8-3 at the time, which is a nice fight there. And some wins. Most of her wins seem to be via TKO. Yeah, I don't know. I'm going with Yazmin Jauregui to win this one. I'm really excited to see Yazmin win. I'm certainly hoping she does well. I mean, hyped her up enough. So, but I am going with Yazmin Jauregui to win this one. And then the winner has to change their name to Jasmine with a J, because we have Yazmin with a Y and Yazmin with an IA. Loser changes their name to Jasmine with a J. Before we move on, let's go to the chat here. Colostrum, hey, welcome to the chat, Colostrum. Says Hill is about to get destroyed. ECE says, man, Calvillo was on fire some time ago. Still a big fan of hers. I'll never forget when she surprised everyone by piecing up JoJo Calderwood on the feet. And yeah, it was all stand up from there. It was after that. And then also says, I really want to see Hill get a win, but she most likely won't win this time either. It's been super rough for Hill. Yeah, it has. It has. Hill's biggest problem is that she starts off really strong and then fades. Judy V says Yazmin with a Y for the W. And she also says, yep, Hill gets taken down. It's over. And it's not necessarily, it's not always over, but a lot of the time it is. By the way, before we move on, don't forget to like and subscribe if you're new to the channel. Anyway, finally, for this weekend, we have Dana White's Contender Series, which is actually on Tuesday. We have a bantamweight bout. Haley Cowan taking on Claudia Leite. All hail Haley Cowan on the left there, coming in at 6-2. Claudia Leite on the right, coming in at 7-2. Cowan's coming in off of a win in Invicta 6 months ago via submission. Before that, suffered a submission loss of her own in LFA just under 2 years ago. Leite last fought 9 months ago, winning via submission down at Cris Cyborg fights in Brazil. But she's on a 4-fight win streak. Leite is the younger fighter, 25-30. Cowan is the taller fighter, 5 feet 8 inches, 173 centimeters, 5 feet 6 inches, 167 centimeters for Leite. Cowan has the reach as well, 69.3 inches, 176 centimeters to 66.1 inch, 168 centimeters for Leite. So let me compare these records side by side here. Or not. Cowan has some decent wins. There's not so great wins. Whereas Leite's actually has more wins over more experienced opponents. But not necessarily that great either. I've honestly, I don't think I've seen enough of Leite. I'm not making a pick on this one. I can't. Just haven't seen enough of Leite to really judge how good she is. And usually that means I go with the fighter that I know, but not sure I have enough faith in Haley Cowan to do that, to justify that. So I'm going to skip a pick for this one. The Brother Man with the super chat. Thank you, the Brother Man. Says, sup, Chuck? I have Nina Nunes to beat Calvillo. Also, I heard Yoko Higashi has been signed to Ryzen and plans to do female bantamweight tournament. That's interesting. I don't think I've heard that rumor. So if so, that'll be interesting. I think you mentioned that to me once before, or maybe someone else did in the chat. But I haven't heard that anywhere else to verify it, or to verify that it's not true. So if so, that'll be interesting. Be interesting to see who they would bring in. But I don't see Ryzen adding the bantamweight division, certainly not to build around Yoko Higashi. She's not their normal style of fighter that they would want to build a division around. I mean, unless they want to appeal to, the ever-aging Japanese population, which is possible. I mean, Higashi's 36 years old, got a kid. Maybe, but it'd be interesting, but I just can't verify that I've heard that. So that's it for the weekend preview. So we've got a couple things to talk about. And here's where things might get heated here. Just a friendly reminder. What? Hold on. Trying to bring up the picture here. Does it not want to work? Figures no. All right, let me see if I can bring this up real quick. Cyborg. There we go. Bring that over. All right, so Cyborg is going to be making her boxing debut down in Brazil for September 25th against Simone de Silva at middleweight. Now, in boxing, middleweight is at, 160 pounds? So she'll be fighting at 160 pounds. So she's not even going to be cutting much weight for this fight. Anyway, let me read the MMAfighting.com article on this here, just to start bringing in some clarity, and then I'll bring in some more context. It says Cris Cyborg will face Simone Silva in professional boxing debut next month. It says Cris Cyborg will finally get the chance to realize a lifelong dream when she competes in professional boxing for the first time in September. The reigning Bellator featherweight champion announced the news on the MMA Hour on Wednesday. Cyborg will face off with Simone Silva in the main event of a FMS Fight Music Show card on September 25th, with the promotion's middleweight championship going up for grabs. Now, before I go on, just to clarify, in the U.S., promotions can't even have their own title. Like, it has to be one of the big four: the WBC, WBA, IBF, or WBO. Like, those are the four recognized sanctioning bodies in boxing. So this is like a piddly little nothing title. Anyway, back to the article. It says the bout will take place at the Atletico Paranaense Arena in Curitiba, Brazil, which is also the site of Cyborg's UFC debut in 2016. It says Silva boasts a 17-21 career record with 6 victories coming by way of knockout, but she's currently riding an 8-fight losing streak dating back to 2019. As for Cyborg, the 37-year-old combat sports veteran has long desired the opportunity to cross over to boxing while still pursuing championships in mixed martial arts. She's worked with boxers like Claressa Shields in the past and was recently linked to a potential matchup against Irish boxing champion Katie Taylor. Says first things first, before any possible matchup against Katie Taylor can take place, Cyborg will get her feet wet with the bout scheduled against Silva in September. Just to add some clarity, if you're not familiar with women's boxing, Katie Taylor is the biggest name in women's boxing. She's Olympic champion, fights uh, coming out of Ireland, just headlined probably the biggest women's boxing fight in history against um, Amanda Serrano back at Madison Square Garden a few months back and beat Serrano. She is also the undisputed lightweight women's boxing champion, which means she holds all four of the major world championships. And lightweight is at 135 pounds, or bantamweight in UFC terms, or MMA terms, I should say. Anyway, it says, while this will be her pro boxing debut, Cyborg has competed in striking sports like Muay Thai in the past, where she's battled notable names such as Jarena Bars. Most recently, Cyborg defended her Bellator title with a unanimous decision over Arlene Blencowe that extended her current win streak to 6 in a row after suffering a loss to Amanda Nunes in the UFC. It says now Cyborg will strap on the gloves for her first boxing match with the possibility for more fights in the future as well. The card in Brazil will also feature several more high-profile matchups, including former boxing champion Ashley Popo, blah, 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 blah. No one cares. Okay, so a lot of Cyborg fans are excited for this. And Cyborg even stopped in at before, like a couple hours before the stream started, to say hi in the chat. Like I said, a lot of Cyborg fans are excited. They're saying this is awesome. This is a new low for Cyborg. Okay, this is a new low for Cris Cyborg. So all you Cyborg fans, that's your trigger warning right now to turn off the program if you can't stand to hear this. This is a new low for Cyborg. Okay, I get it. It's her boxing debut. She's never fought in boxing before. But she is fighting someone with an absolute upside down record at 17-21. And a 8 fight losing streak dating back to 2019. But Simone De Silva, if you look her up on Tapology, she also has an MMA record. Her MMA record is 8-7. Or no, I'm sorry, 8-4. So not only does she have a losing record in boxing, she has a losing record in MMA as well. And combined with the MMA and boxing, because she does both, her current losing streak is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 fight losing streak combined, MMA and boxing. Holy crap. And keep in mind, this is nothing against Simone De Silva. I've got nothing against Simone De Silva. This is about Cyborg. And this is just sad. Oh, apparently, Simone has a boxing fight coming up scheduled this weekend, according to Tapology, taking on Jessica Kamara. If she fights Jessica Kamara this weekend, she is getting whooped. That is going to be another loss. Jessica Kamara is pretty darn good. Oh, also, to further add to just how low Cyborg is going with this, just how low Cyborg is going for this, while most of the Silva's boxing, while some of Silva's boxing, more recent boxing fights have been up higher, middleweight 160, 154. You look at most of her boxing fights, they're around between 130 to 140 pounds. But you go back further, and they're at like 126, 125, 122. And the further you go, most of her MMA bouts before she went to boxing full time, most of her MMA bouts are at flyweight, 125 pounds. And she's going to be fighting Cyborg at 160. So par for the course for Cyborg. Let's be honest here. Par for the course. Cris Cyborg fighting basically a flyweight, a fattened up flyweight at 160 pounds. Cyborg normally fights in MMA at 145. She's not even, no, she's going up to 160 and fighting someone whose fought as low at flyweight. Not the first time she's done that. So this is just par for the course for Cyborg, is bringing someone up from a lower weight class. But usually Cyborg doesn't fight people on massive losing streaks. So that's why I say this is a new low for Cris Cyborg. I mean, this is just sad. I mean, I get it. It's her boxing debut. But keep in mind, her Muay Thai fights, when she went and fought Muay Thai, she fought much better competition in Muay Thai than she did in than she is fighting the likes of Cyborg. I mean, she fought Jarena Bars, one of the best Muay Thai fights on the planet. And what was her third Muay Thai fight? Year before that, she fought Jennifer Colum, who I believe was undefeated at the time, before she fought Cyborg. So that was a good win. That was a good fight before that. That was in 2013, and then 2014 was the Bars fight. So why is she going back to Brazil to fight an absolute journeyman boxer? I mean, she's fighting better competition than MMA, and I realized, okay, she's never boxed professionally before. I get it. I get it, Cyborg fanboys, Cyborg Nation. She's never boxed before, but still, this is sad. This is sad. This is a new low for Cris Cyborg. All this is to get a fight under her belt and then try to go for that Katie Taylor money. Which, by the way, she'd be pulling Katie Taylor up in weight too, because Katie Taylor fights at lightweight in boxing, which is 135 pounds. So she's going to try to pull Katie Taylor up in weight to fight her as well. The new low for Cris Cyborg, ladies and gentlemen. Go to the chat. Jimmy Radisson says, Jimmy Radisson, you're new. Welcome to the chat. Says, I don't understand why she took this fight. Is she getting paid well? Maybe. Maybe. I think this is like her hometown. Or at least this is, yeah, it's in Curitiba. And plus, it's also the same venue that she made her UFC debut in. So maybe it's for the money. I doubt it. I think this is just to say that she got her debut under her belt. The brother man says Cyborg knows this is for the money and exposure. I wouldn't call it a new low. If it's not a new low, it is at least par for the course for her papered career. And by papered, I mean like heavily papered career. Easy E says, I don't like this for Cyborg either, but from her interview on the MMA Hour, I got the hint that she was doing it strictly for the money. Said she's getting a good mint for this one, way more than UFC money. Well, hope she doesn't break the promotion if she's getting that much money. More money, yeah. If so, I hope she doesn't break the bank on that one. So that's enough about Cyborg. Let's talk about Rose Namajunas for a second here. Let's talk about Rose. This is another MMA fighting article because I think she was on the MMA Hour again. But it says, Rose Namajunas not ruling out move up to 125 pounds next, potential Valentina Shevchenko fight. A little bit misleading of a title here. A little bit. But only slightly. Anyway, it says, at the moment, Rose Namajunas isn't thinking about fighting. Well, that's certainly nothing new for Rose in between fights. But she has been pondering making some additions to her already vast skill set and possibly her physical frame. Namajunas most recently competed at UFC 274 in May, where she dropped a split decision to Carla Esparza and lost her strawweight title. The former two-time champion headed into that fight with the plan to step away from the octagon for a bit afterward, one way or another, and recently partnered up with Polaris for the Polaris RZR Sunday Stroll content series. Namajunas, along blah, 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 blah. Besides tapping into her adventurous side, Namajunas has her sights set on some different challenges in the martial arts space, as well as putting on some size in the weight room. It says, quote, win or lose, I'm going into the last fight, or win or lose going into the last fight, I knew I was going to take some time off, Namajunas told MMA Fighting. I knew I was going to at least take the summer off. I'll say around September, I'll know exactly what I'll be doing. I have been training a little, but not super consistent. Again, this is nothing new for Rose. Back into it. I did have this little shoulder issue that I've been trying to rehab, and there was this girl, Isis Verbeek, who just won her Invicta fight that came into town, so I got to train with her a little bit. Just some little stuff trying to stay active so I'm not on the couch completely. Continuing, it says, the thing I do know for a fact, and I don't know when exactly I might fight again, but I do know that I want to do a grappling match of some sort. Blah, blah, blah. I'll be lifting lots of weights. Oh, also, once I get my other things in order, my life stuff, I'll be lifting lots of weights and maybe put on a little muscle and just kind of see what happens from there. It says, when asked if that meant a potential move to 125, Namajunas wouldn't fully commit to the move, but she certainly didn't rule it out. It says, quote, I don't know. You can do the math, Namajunas said on a possible move to flyweight. I really don't know. Like I said, just one step at a time. The UFC has given me some offers for things, and I just need the time to just not think about fighting at all. And then in the fall, I'll kind of lay out everything to see what makes sense. Goes on to say, definitely I'm interested in grappling in the near future, blah, blah, blah. Says, of course, should Namajunas make a move up in weight, Valentina Shevchenko is the current flyweight champion. Knowing the UFC's stance on making the biggest fights possible, a matchup between Shevchenko and Namajunas would certainly make some waves. Says Namajunas admits that there would be a cause for pause in some ways should the promotion present her with that opportunity, if only due to the friendship she has with MMA fighting's #1 ranked pound-for-pound women's fighter. But the martial artist in her can't help but be intrigued by the concept if the price is right. Says, I love Valentina Namajunas to explain, in my opinion, and I always forget that Amanda Nunes is women's goat of MMA, but Valentina, if she can keep doing what she's doing, you could make that case for her as well. I do consider myself to be Valentina's friend, so in order for me to do that comma, we would have to be set up, not for life, but it would have to be for a very good reason for me to even want to step to her. It says, she is amazing in all ways, and I would have felt what she feels like in practice. And I know a fight is a totally different thing, so that would be hard for me to say. Obviously, as a martial artist, that would definitely be very interesting. But yeah, I don't know yet. It would have to be very lucrative. I love Valentina. I consider her to be my friend. I've never had a problem with being cordial with people I'm going to fight. I've maintained friendships with people that I fought, but I've never had an issue with fighting a teammate or anything like that. I have started to think a little bit differently about fighting at this point in my life. Says it would be difficult with the emotions and things like that, and I feel like I'm a different person right now. I would have to think about it. Okay, so here's why this headline is a little bit misleading. Just a little bit misleading. She says nowhere in this fight that she's committed thinking about moving up to flyweight. She says she's not ruling it out, and she is putting on muscle, but she only talks about flyweight when pressed. And as far as the Shevchenko thing, basically, oh, we're friends, and I wouldn't entirely ruling out fighting her, but we are friends, and it would have to be lucrative. That is a really roundabout way of saying no, no way. Look, they have trained together in the past. It was a while ago, but they have trained together. Valentina's gone out to Colorado and trained with her at altitude. But Shevchenko gave her a black eye just in training. She knows she'd have no shot against Valentina. So yeah, the article says she's not ruling out move to flyweight, the potential Valentina Shevchenko fight. But as soon as a fighter mentions, well, I consider her my friend, that is basically ruling it out. Unless you say, but I'm willing to fight my friends. I have no problem fighting friends. Which she did not. Basically, that is a way of saying, I'm not interested in that. And then to say, well, it would have to be really lucrative. Again, that is a nice way of saying, no, no, thank you. No, thanks. So she doesn't entirely say no, but you got to learn to read between the lines here. Saying, well, she's my friend, and it would have to be for a lot of money. That's a nice way of saying no. No, thanks. No. That is fighter talk for no. Now, if they were in the same weight class, that would be a duck, obviously. But because Rose is at 115, the duck does not apply. So let's hit the chat. It says MMA isn't making great stars or finding talent anymore. Well, I disagree that they're not finding talent. Finding great stars, well, or making great stars, well, that depends. I mean, Molly McCann is blowing up. Now, is she a great talent? No. But is she blowing up as far as star fame? Yeah. Now, is a lot of that contingent on her largely fighting at home? Yes. And as a big part of that, also contingent on her just hanging out constantly, excuse me, and being great friends with Patty Pimblett? Also, yes. But there's no denying that people seem to like her. At least back home they do. So, yeah. Um, Here's the thing, though. It's not easy to make a star. Like, there has to be star quality for a fighter in order to make a star. And that's not just skills either. I mean, skills at the end of the day, skills pay the bills, but you got to have the X factor as well. And a lot of, no offense to the ladies, a lot of lady fighters don't necessarily have that X factor. Um, I'm not a, I, I don't personally like what I see from her necessarily, but Juliana Miller seems to have a bit of that X factor. I mean, she certainly got a lot of people talking about her after her win last week over Brogan Walker. But we'll see. We'll see. But stars, yeah, it's hard to make a star in MMA. I mean, there's like what, less than 10 MMA fighters that have been able to sell over 1 million pay-per-views. So, I mean, those are the superstars. But even like the stars themselves, we'll say like above, we'll say 550,000 pay-per-views or more. It's hard to make stars like that. Oh, here's some interesting. Alejandro Marquez says, LOL, hope you realize how much of a weirdo you are. Grown man specifically covering MMA. I wonder why. Well, why are you watching then, Alejandro Marquez? And then, how many female fighters do you think this guy plays himself to? So, Alejandro, goodbye. You are now blocked. Sounds like I ticked that guy off. Probably because I must have said something he did not particularly like. But why would you come into a stream talking about women's MMA, which no one forced you to watch, and it would have come up in either a search or on your front page being fed by the algorithm? Why then would you go into a stream about women's mixed martial arts if you don't like it? You don't like it, don't come here. Which at least you won't be able to comment again because you are now blocked. Easy E says, always wanted her to move up. But that Esparza fight kind of changed my mind. The thing is, her head isn't always right. She'll move into a top spot at 125, but she won't fight Val. Yeah, I agree. Rose is always a mystery. Brother Man says, Alejandro Marquez, adults are talking here. Yeah. You can't be a civilized adult. Find your way out. Alejandro, is your comment meant to be condescending? Yes. Yes, it was. Easy E says, Alejandro, at Alejandro, and you're here consuming the content, so how weird are you? Exactly. Easy E. Brother Man, I'm not going to read that out loud. I don't want to get in trouble with YouTube. Easy E says, welcome to the weirdo party, Alejandro. Yep. Judy B asking why he's here. He made another comment that I blocked. Easy E says, whoever in WMA is willing to act like Conor McGregor while smoking people at the same time is going to be huge. Yeah, possibly. I mean, yeah, it takes the right amount of charisma, and plus you have to be destroying other ladies. And I think it also helps that you would have to be, you know, it's going to. It also helps to be good looking. Let's not lie. Having that right aesthetic in sports helps as well. Because let's be honest here, a fighter like Jessica Andrade, she destroys ladies in the cage. Absolutely destroys them. But is she a big, huge name in sport? No. I mean, she destroys fighters. But again, is she a superstar? No. So, I mean, she doesn't speak English, and that doesn't help either. Brother Man says, don't feed the trolls. Exactly. Great benefactor, welcome to the chat, says Dan Alejandro. Thought it best blocking to you, Judy. Don't, hey, Judy, you are a moderator, so if you think someone should be blocked, don't feel free to. or at least put them on timeout. You can do both. All right. I don't know why that picture is so little, or that one, but whatever. I want to talk about promotions that I feel aren't doing their best to promote their product. And I don't want to bash these promotions, but I got to give examples. And sometimes I just feel like MMA promoters just do things that don't make any sense whatsoever. It's like, how are people supposed to get excited for your product if you're not presenting it in a way that gets people excited or that incentivizes people to be excited about your product? A lot of it comes down to timing or proper use of social media, the way you announce fights, so on and so forth. There's good ways of doing it, and there's bad ways of doing it. And sometimes promotions just, it leaves me wondering in my head, like, what are you doing? Especially when it comes to, for me, it's a matter of getting the information out there to help people, to help others promote your events. I mean, you certainly can't complain that the media isn't doing anything to help promote your event when you're not helping the media. And granted, I'm just a hobbyist, but there are times when I really want to help promote events, and it's like darn near impossible because there's not enough information, or the information out there isn't reliable, and the promotion isn't making it easy. You're just not putting the info out there. Okay. Great example. And I like promoting their fights because they're fun and exciting. Even if the skill isn't necessarily there all the time, the fights are fun. Combate Global. Combate doesn't announce their full fight cards until Tuesday of fight week. That is not enough time to properly promote your event. You're not even really promoting your own events. And then you're not putting the info out there for others to help promote your events. It's like, I can only do so much work to promote your event and get it out there when you're not even announcing your full fight card until Tuesday of fight week. I gotta be honest. Combate, their stuff gets views on my channel sometimes. Some of the Combate stuff really gets views on my channel. It works. It does. For example, let me pull up my creator studio here. My preview video for the Lopez versus Rivarola fight at this point has over 1,000 views. And I published that on, what was the date? Monday. I published that video on Monday. So in 3 days, that has over 1,000 views. Imagine how many views that video might have had I known about that fight a week ago, or 2 weeks ago, or even a month ago. And that's really good. 1,000 views on a video for me promoting an event that not a lot of people talk about. On the other hand, my not my full preview video for the event, which I published yesterday, last night, has been up for almost 24 hours and it's only gotten 43 views. That should have way more views than that. Okay. An event preview talking about the ladies, an all ladies event should have more views than that. But also, Combate should have put out the information earlier than Tuesday. Unfortunately, I didn't find out what the lineup until late Tuesday, so I couldn't make the video on Tuesday because I had to get some sleep. It's just very frustrating because I really wanted to do more to help promote this an all ladies card. But when you don't put the information out there until Tuesday, I can't do much more than that other than make my video and promote it on social media. That's the best I can do. I mean, put out the fight info, put out the event info earlier than Tuesday of fight week. And then you wonder why Combate, the CEO, Campbell McLaren, wants to know why more people don't talk about their events. Well, it's hard to talk about your events. Nobody knows who's fighting each other until 2 or 3 days before the event. And it's hard to build interest in it that late in the game. It really is. It's just that hard. So Combate definitely needs to get their info out there faster. Moving on to a different promotion here. Again, sorry for the small little picture there with the symbol. Palace Athena has their second event on, I want to say the 28th, 27th. 27th or 28th. Where's my calendar? It's on the 27th. They announced that event like 8 weeks ago. Or longer than that. Like, when did they first announce this event? Let me look this up. Check Facebook, because they're good at posting to Facebook and Instagram. Actually, it'd be easier to go to Instagram. Not so much on Twitter. No, that's not what I want. EEWFC. Okay, when did they first make an announcement for their second event? Way back on June 10th. So it has been 2 months since they announced this event. 2 months and a day since they announced this event. It took them until yesterday, the day before, for them to finally start announcing the fights themselves. Like, they announced the event 2 months ago. They started announcing the fighters that they had signed to fight a month ago, 4 weeks ago. And then they started announcing the individual fighters and giving a little bit of intro to them. But they didn't announce the first actual fight, who is going to be fighting each other, until 2 days ago. So August 9th, they started announcing the actual fights. I'm sorry, to me, that is backwards. That is just absolutely backwards. Okay? What they should have done was you announce the fights first and then make little intro posts about the individual fighters. Say, well, this fighter is fighting so-and-so on, at the event. Here's a little intro to this fighter, okay? Announcing who you're signing to fight, well, that's great. It's great that you're signing these fighters to fight, but who are they fighting? That's what people want to know when they tune into an MMA event. Who is fighting who? That is the most important thing. Who is fighting who? What weight class? What are their records? So on and so forth. Okay? That's what people want to know first. Who is fighting who? And then to build up enthusiasm for their fights, then you start talking about the fighters individually. Then that way people get to know those fighters. But you've got to announce the fights themselves first. You don't wait until 2 weeks out from the event or 3 weeks, whatever it is. 20 days out from the event to start saying who's going to be fighting who. After teasing the event for over 2 months now. And then you finally start announcing who's fighting who 20 days out from the event. I'm sorry, no. That is backwards. Okay? They should have announced the fights first. Okay? Who is fighting who? At what weight? For what? Is there a title on the line? Yes. Okay, cool. That's something to get excited for. Then you start introducing the fighters individually. Okay? Announce the fighters individually after, or you introduce them rather. Like saying, hey, get to know this fighter who's fighting so-and-so at our next event. This fighter is from wherever. They have this record. They fight out of this gym. Here's what they bring to the table. And that way you build some more excitement. You build some interest in those individual fighters. But we want to know, first, people want to know who they're fighting. That's what MMA fans want to know. Who's fighting who? It's nice to know who's on the card, but more importantly, we need to know who is fighting who. We want to see the side-by-side comparison in the pictures, at least. Get the pictures going. So-and-so is fighting so-and-so. Fighter A is fighting fighter B, or backwards, I guess. That's what people want to know for your event. That is what you need to introduce first, okay? Not say, hey, we just signed another amateur fighter this week that's going to be making their pro debut, or we signed this fighter from blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. Stay tuned for more fighter announcements. And it's like, and you do that for over a month. You drag that out for a month. And then you finally announce your first fight. And then rather than introducing the entire card at once, 20 days out from your event, you introduce a single fight. A single fight. You should be announcing the full fight card by then. 20 days out, you should be announcing the full fight card. No excuses for that. Why are you dragging this out? Now, I will say this. Tapology has the card up on their website, the AWFC2. But I don't know for sure that this is the full fight card, because up until a couple days ago, they had Anastasia Nicolakakos fighting Claire Lopez at atom weight, and Alessandra Pajeda fighting Shauna Ram. Obviously, that's not happening. Lopez is fighting tomorrow night for Combate, and Nicolakakos is now fighting Pajeda. So I can't go by what Tapology has, but there's nowhere else to go by for what that card is. I just don't understand what Palace Athena is doing with their promotional stuff. And this is how they did their last event too. It was so frustrating. I want to promote an all women's promotion and I want to promote their event. I'm an all women's MMA channel. That's what I do. I want to help promote their event. But how do I build up hype for an event? I don't even know who's fighting who. And you know what the worst part about this is? The event takes place on August 27th, a Saturday night. You know what's not happening that Saturday? Literally anything else. There's no other major events going on that weekend. Okay? One is happening on Friday night, but there's no UFC on Saturday. There's no UFC. There's no Bellator. Don't think there's any PFL either. There's nothing else going on. So, like any women's fight fans could want to tune into your event, or even if they're not die-hard, even if they're not die-hard WMMA fans, they might still want to tune in because it's MMA. There are a lot of hardcore MMA junkies that will watch every event they can get their hands on. If you go to the SureDog.com forums and you go into the worldwide MMA subforum, there are play-by-play event threads doing discussion threads or play-by-play discussions for just about every event every weekend. I mean, there are some absolute diehard junkies. I mean, junkies like they're addicted. Like if you could put MMA into a syringe, they'd put it in their vein and shoot it up. And for you to be bass backwards about your promoting like this blows my mind. It is so frustrating for me as someone who has dedicated so much of their free time, and that's what this is for me. It is my free time. This is a hobby. I'm not making any money off of this. Come on now. I'm not. I'm not. I've lost more money than I've spent more money going on 3 trips to Invicta FC than I've ever made for this event from this channel. This is a hobby. So for these promoters to make it that much more difficult for me to want to do this for them, it just drives me up the wall. I don't understand it at all. So that concludes my rant. Let's go to the chat. Judy B said, "Okay, next time," referring to the blocking earlier. Jamie Radisson, welcome to the chat. If you're still there, says it isn't just acting like Connor. He was acting like himself, and he enjoyed it. That is why it worked. It is very rare that someone is that interesting like he is. That is true. I mean, his charisma was natural. He is naturally charismatic. Easy E says, yeah, Combate should have had a promotional plan ready before they left Fight Pass, to be honest. Oh, yeah, I liked when they were on Fight Pass. And then it was easy to promote then. Ever since they hooked up with, I'll be honest, ever since they hooked up with Univision, their primary thing is on Univision in Spanish language. And that's all they talk about is, oh, our ratings on Univision are blah, blah, blah. We get this many on a Friday night. It's like, okay, cool, but you haven't done anything to actually grow yourself as a result. Seems like all they care about is, oh, here's our ratings. But it's like, okay, cool, but who's fighting? Who are your fighters? Why should we be interested? They do no promotional work, really, for themselves. And it is frustrating because their events are fun. Brother Man says, geez, today's promoters are too lazy and incompetent. I just don't understand it sometimes. I really don't. So I was hoping to only go an hour and a half. I went about 20 minutes over. Before we get ready to close up, anybody else have anything in the chat? If not, we're going to get ready to go. So, once again, please hit that like button. That helps keep the algorithm, keeps the stream in the algorithm. Even after I'm done, even after it's done being live, it'll still promote the playback. Also, I hope tonight is the night that I earn your subscription. At the end of my videos, I always say, subscribe to WMAC Now, the best, most complete women's mixed martial arts dedicated platform on YouTube. I don't just say that for the fun of it. I truly believe that. I believe that this is the best women's mixed martial arts dedicated platform on YouTube. And it is nothing but WMA talk. I don't talk about other stuff. I don't really get into boxing other than talking about Cyborg's boxing in the night. I don't venture off into boxing. I don't venture off into other sports. I don't venture off into political stuff because it's not my interest with this channel. I am about promoting the ladies of mixed martial arts. So when I say that, I believe it, and I hope that I can earn your subscription. If you're watching the playback, let me know your thoughts in the comments. But if you're watching live right now, last chance for anything in the chat. I do like this goofy music. Other than that, this went long tonight, much longer than my usual streams. So, tomorrow night, Combate Global, all ladies fight card. I will do a live fight companion. If you want to watch the fights, for English, Paramount Plus, if you're in the US or Canada. Spanish language, or if you don't mind Spanish commentary, Univision or TUDN. Now, if you're outside the US, in Canada, if you're outside North America, I believe you can go to Combate Global's Facebook page and purchase the event. It's like $5 maybe. Let me pull it up real quick and check. So, yes, August 12th. You can order it in English or Spanish, it looks like. $3.99 online with Facebook Live. It does say only available in certain locations. Oh, so Canada, if you're in Canada, France, Mexico, Nicaragua, Panama, Puerto Rico, Spain. Oh, it's unavailable in those. So if you're in North America, you can't order it from Facebook. If you're outside of North America and a lot of Spanish-speaking Central American countries, and Spain, then you can order it from Facebook. That sucks, you can't order it from Spain. But I would imagine that if you use a VPN, a virtual private network, then you could probably order it through Facebook for $3.99. Myself, I have a Paramount Plus subscription, but I will be doing a live fight companion for it, fight commentary. Easy E says, "Stop lurking, Cyborg, LOL." You know what's really funny? I'm blocked by Cyborg on Twitter. I have been for a while. So it's funny that she then shows up. She sees her name, and on the title, you know, whoever does her social media searches out her name, see what people are saying about her. Anyway, I'm going to stop rambling. Tomorrow night, live fight companion for Combate Global. Tune in. 10:30 or 11 p.m. East Coast time. That's it for tonight. I am tired. My throat's tired, and I still have to publish 1 or 2 more videos. So, have a good night, everyone.